Welcome to Travel-Tyme with Maylene. Um, I posted a video talking about my um, adventure with uh, Drive Academy at Millis Transfer. So I started Millis on Tuesday. But with this video, I want to talk about um, the reasons I chose Millis compared to other schools that I looked into, or I want to talk about the schools that I looked into and why I did not choose them. So I will say I looked into a lot of schools. I really did. I'm going to try to make this quick and simple as possible and get straight to the point. I'm going to tell you what school I looked at, what they told me, and why I did not choose it. The first school I looked at was Swift. Swift was going to be my number one school, right? They have classes every week. Um, my the plus with Swift at the time was my recruiter said that my fiance could train me because he is a truck driver. And so that was a plus for me. All he had to do was come in when I come in, be there 30 days. He already had 2 years of experience, and we were going to team. So then I would be able to go straight with him, and then he could train me, and then we could team. Absolutely love the fact that that could happen. However, they have a really bad reputation of a low CSA score. If you know, you know about the things that they say about Swift. I was more concerned about the type of training I would get. Yes, I did speak with multiple people about their experiences with Swift. Some good, some bad. Um, they also did like the 15,000 miles, 6 to 8 weeks with a trainer. I was cool with that. You know, they had a lot more to offer for as you had drive-in, you have reefer, you can team. Um, Listen, they're really, they offer a lot. However, because I knew that I was going to be on the road with my fiance and I was already getting a little practice in, I didn't want it to be where he would have to come back and retrain me, you know, once we ended up teaming. And so, with the way they were having the classes, it was it probably wasn't going to be a complete one-on-one. The classes were probably, you know, bigger than what I'm in now. And I also was thinking about when I put something on my resume, how would that affect me finding another job, right? So if I would have went with Swift, I would have had to make sure my personal record was I didn't have any accidents. I would have had to make sure I never had any accidents. I didn't do anything because their reputation is not completely there. Because eventually I do plan on going somewhere else. And so when somebody looked at my resume, I wanted it to be where, oh, you went to this school, you know, they have great CSA scores, they produce great students, exceptional no accidents, things like that. Things like that matter when you are in every day. In every day, it does matter. Um, and so that was something that I was a little concerned about uh, with Swift. Um, Swift is Swift is would have still been my Swift would have been my alternate. I will say that it would have been my alternate. Um, and so I had it on the back burner because they checked off all the boxes with the exception of their reputation. So the other school I looked into was Prime. Prime got me at the 50,000 miles. Now, they've changed it. Well, it was 60 to 50,000 miles. They have went down a little on those miles. Still too many miles, honestly. Still too many miles. Um, I didn't like that. I don't want to be with a trainer for that long, especially knowing that I was already going to have, a little bit of practice in before I went. Don't want to be with nobody that long. That's a long time. I would feel it would be better if they said, "Oh, well, we do 15,000 miles, but if you need to stay longer, then you can stay longer until you get it." That's the difference. But just automatically, that's like 6 months that's half the year with a trainer. That's a long time. That's just way too long. So I was that was already off the books, or whatever. But I was still considering it because I like their trucks. They have nice trucks. You can customize your truck any kind of way you want to, and things like that. Uh, I've heard good things and bad things about Prime. I follow some YouTubers that work for Prime. I've talked to people about Prime. Another thing I didn't like about Prime was the way that they force you into owner op sometimes. And coming from knowing about owner op through my fiance, I don't think that that's the first thing a new student should jump into. You know, um, coming out of school, it would be best to do company for a while and then to get a feel of it and then do owner op. However, they did have team, they did have tanks, they have reefer, they have drive-in, they have an abundance of things. I've heard a mixture of sometimes your trainers don't train you properly when you're on the route on how to, use your low boards and get loads and accept loads and dealing with miles, um, and things like that. Um, they don't have a lot of drivers on company. And I didn't really want to be forced into being an owner up right off the bat. They do have a good reputation for us. School, I've never heard anything about their driving school. I've never heard too much of anything bad about their CSA scores either. Um, but and then I didn't necessarily want to go far because you have to go to another state. I was okay with it, but if I could have found something closer, I would have took something closer. And so it was really just the 60 to 50,000 miles for me that I was just like, that and the forcefulness of doing owner op. Those two things were kind of like, I didn't really it kind of not something I really wanted to do. I do think that their training school is pretty good. I've never heard anything about bad about it. Um, I want to say with some of the drivers that I talked to, a lot of drivers said Prime. They did. So I just overlooked them. And then now they got front facing cameras, which inward facing cameras, which Millis has inward facing cameras too. But I think the way that Prime put it out there was kind of not right, I guess you can say. One bad apple shouldn't spoil a bunch, but that's just my opinion. The other school I looked into was I did Swift. Oh, Snyder. So Snyder, my fiance used to work for Snyder. And we call Snyder. Snyder threw me off just from the conversation. So I talked to the recruiter. First my fiance called, and then she was like, "Are you driving?" And he was like, "In my personal vehicle." And she was like, "Oh, I can't talk to you while you're driving. Call back." And I'm like, he's like, "But I'm in my personal vehicle, you know." And so, yeah, she was like, "I can't talk to you while you're driving." Like, people don't have speakerphones, in their cars. So then he told me to call. So I called, and I asked, it was a question I asked about class. And I was like, "When was your next class?" Apparently, they don't know when the next classes are going to be. So she couldn't tell me which class the next class was going to be. And it was, I guess, and then she couldn't tell me the pay because I needed to know which area or department, I was going to go to, where I was going to be dry van, tank, or whatever. So she couldn't tell me to pay because I had to tell her what I wanted to do, but I wanted to pay for all, like I wanted to pay for all of them. Tank, reefer, dry van. I don't know if they do reefer, but I'm just saying. So she couldn't tell me to pay. And I mean, just the conversation from the recruiter itself was not pleasant. Snyder do have one great training. Okay. If you notice the way that you learn to take your test to get your permit, Snyder, the way that they teach it, some of it is on there. And so Snyder is great when it comes down to training. However, they are huge on what you call I'm losing my train of thought. Micromanaging. They will micromanage the hell out of you. And coming from the medical field for 16 years, that I don't want to be micromanaged. You know what I'm saying? I understand, certain things have to be micromanaged, but then you're micromanaging me and I don't even work for you. So that was kind of like, I'm not going to talk to you until you stop. When there are plenty of hands-free devices in just about every newer vehicle there is. So that was a no-go for me. Like, you trying to micromanage me and I'm in my own vehicle. Yeah, that was a no-go. Because I can only imagine what it is when you're in the truck, you know. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was the pay. The pay is, as a new driver, you're not going to make much money anyways. But at the same time, because it's like a starter company, um, their pay is really, really low, you know. So, and then from experience, now I will say from experiencing with my fiance, they have some good dispatchers there and they have some bad dispatchers. That's just with everybody. I think his dispatcher was awesome. I really liked her, you know. Um, but the recruiter was not very welcoming of wanting to be excited about telling me about their driving program. So that was kind of like a turnoff for me. You know, when I call, you know, I want my recruiter to be, oh yeah, we got such and such and such, you know, and explain everything and then ask me if I have questions and things like that, because you want to make that person feel like they're making that you're the number one school for them. You know, if I don't feel like that, why do I want to come there? You know, so Snyder was cut off right then. I never went back to even think about Snyder. They have a great reputation though for their training school. You know, even my fiance said, you know, you're going to get the Snyder way, you know, and they're going to train you the Snyder way. And it's really good. He learned a lot from them or whatever. But even after the conversation he had with the recruiter, he was like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to just let them be. And so that was another school I looked into. I did call each school and ask for specific things, but for video purposes, I'm not going to get into everything that I asked for. All the schools are basically the same when it comes down to your training, and these schools right here were the same with the exception of Prime. It's 15,000 miles, 6 to 8 weeks. All of them were like that. They pay for everything. They pay for lodging. The only thing you have to do is pay for food and transportation. Some of them had transportation. Some of them you had to provide your own transportation. So when it came down to all of that, it was pretty much legitly the same, with the exception of Prime being the longest you had to be with a trainer. Another school I looked into was KLLM. I had to go to another state with KLLM. KLLM would have been a good one, but I think they pair you. They do teams a lot. I want to say they do teams a lot. You have to team for the first year, I think, and then go by yourself or something. Like, don't quote me on that, because it was something they said that I was just like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I think that's what it was. Oh, I know what it was. It was different from, so it was one thing that I was wanting was my fiance to train me. They were the only ones that said that he could not train me. And so at that time, I really wanted him to train me, but because they said that he couldn't, I was like, well, I don't, because the whole point was for us to team. And so I think that was one. I would have to be with somebody else and then go with him. At that time, I really didn't realize how important it was for him not to train me, honestly. Now, would I have still chosen KLM? Probably not. even though they're not too far from where I'm at now. Um, but theirs is still basically the same. They pay for everything. Um, I think they have a terminal here, but I think the school I would have to go to Phoenix, Arizona. I think that was it. The Phoenix, Arizona. I haven't heard anything like really bad about KLLM. I just know that they do team you. They do put you with a team. Um, so yeah, I didn't really want to do that. And then after that, you can go by yourself or something. I don't know. They just was not on my list of things. Let me see. Was there another one I did? I did Rail. I think I said it right. Rail. Rail is set up just like Millis. I think Rail would have been a great school to go to. I think they're set up exactly like Millis. So if you didn't want to go to Millis Transfer, go to Rail. You're an employee there right then. You get paid while you're in school. The only thing about Rail, they do not pay for no hotel stay. You have to pay. You have to provide your own transportation and provide your own living arrangements. But you will get paid while you're in school. So they're set up pretty much like Millis. I'm pretty sure they got a great CSA score. I'm pretty sure their classes are probably about as small as Millis. So at that time, I was considering them, but then having to pay for my own school. But I ended up here, so I could have went there too. It was just a mental process of processing everything. I was kind of stuck on wanting my fiance to train me, and then us going to team. But then gradually I got completely out of that because I realized that I needed somebody else to train me and I needed to be on my own before I even really teamed with him. And so yeah, that was kind of what I wanted in the beginning, and then it changed. So once it changed, the way I thought changed about my schools that I wanted to choose. So I would recommend Millis. I would recommend Rail if you're capable. If not, then I would probably say I guess the next one, I could see why Swift get all the students, honestly. I really could. I mean, I could have been in school months ago with Swift, but I don't think I would have been satisfied with how I'm satisfied now. They make Swift make it very, very comfortable for you to get with them, you know, and get in and stuff like that. But I didn't want to just be another number. At least with the company I'm with, they're gonna know who I am. They're gonna know my name, you know. So that was important. That was important to me. That was like the number one thing that was important to me. And that's kind of hard to find. I'm trying to figure out, was there another school I looked into? I think those were the only schools I really looked into. But I just want to talk about it because it led me to the school that I'm at now. And I'm happy. I'm overly happy and content with everything. When you are looking for schools, you have to call these places. You have to ask questions. I had an advantage. I'm not going to lie. I did have an advantage. Because my fiance coached me a lot of it on what questions to ask, and things like that. So I did have a little bit of an advantage to really be picky. But even if you don't have an advantage, call, ask questions, write your questions down. If you forget to ask a question, write it down. You can call again and ask, or you can remember to ask that question with the next place that you call. Really, really, really call all these schools. Recruiters are going to tell you what they want you to know to get you in there anyways. You just got to weigh your options of what you want, what you're looking for, and your overall goal with these companies. So that's my advice. Research. Don't just jump into it. Ask questions, ask people, go on YouTube, follow people, watch videos of people that do videos on these schools, because that's what I did. I watched a girl who worked for Snyder. I watched a girl who works for Prime. I watched a guy that works for Prime. I didn't watch anybody for real. I watched a couple of Swift videos. You have to do your research, because you're going to be behind that wheel, and you're going to be responsible for everything that happens when you are behind that wheel. So you want to make sure that you get the proper training that you need to be behind that wheel. I watched videos where there are stories about, being with trainers and things like that. I'll have a video on it when my time comes. I will say with Millis, they ask you certain questions. I don't know about any other school, but I know they ask you if you're a smoker, if you're a non-smoker. They ask you if you want to do OTR or regional, and they ask you, and they try to pair you with those people. They're not going to pair a person that smokes with a non-smoker. And if they do, then make sure you understand you can't smoke in that person's truck. So you have to be okay with being with this trainer, but you can't smoke in their truck. Compared to my fiance's experience, he had to be in a truck with somebody that smoked, and he's not a smoker. So those things you have to look into. Females, are you okay with being with a male, or do you want to be with a female? These are questions, that you have got to ask these companies. Are you going to put me with a female? Are you going to put me with a male? We all know that sometimes it's not, you don't get a trainer right off the back. You might have to wait. Some companies for females, you can get a female, but you might have to wait for, to get that female. I would say with Millis Transfer, if they don't have a trainer available, you don't get paid the first week, but after that, if they still don't have nobody, you continue to still get your pay that you was getting while you're in school. So that's why you do your research, because a lot of these companies will not pay you while you're waiting for your trainer. You're literally still broke, and you're waiting for them to give you a trainer. And I've known several situations where that has happened to people, so they end up going to another school. Not another school, another trucking company, because they already got their license. They just need to be trained. So these are things that, you need to be asking, write your questions down, talk to these recruiters. Also go by how they present the information to you. The way they present information to you will also tell you the type of company you're probably working with, because the recruiter is the first person you're going to talk to, and that's going to dictate everything else for the rest of your training and your career with that company. So I hope I helped a little. I was going to write everything down. I did not. I just, like I said, I'm up. I'm about to get up and drive home because I can't sleep at this point. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. If I don't know, I will try to figure it out. This is my personal experience. This does not account for anybody else. This is just my personal experience, what I was looking for, how things happen with me, and me only. Does not happen the same way with everybody else. I just felt like informing you how important it is to research schools before you just choose a school, because the easiest school to get into does not necessarily mean it's the best school to get into. So remember that. If you like this video, subscribe, like, share, and I will continue to post and keep you updated on my journey. Thank you.